Hello. Welcome to our weekly live attorney chat. I'm attorney Desiree Koger-Gustafson with Immigration for Couples. If you are new to our firm or Facebook page, we regularly come live to answer questions regarding the immigration process, things that we are hearing from consultations, or just questions that we are getting from our Facebook page. So feel free to like, comment, or share if you know of someone who may be of interest to our firm or to things that we are discussing here in the immigration world. So today, I would like to go back to a question that was actually given on one of our Facebook live or video posts. And you certainly can comment on this feed. And if I see it and I'm able to address it, I will do that live while we are here. And if not, we'll come back on and do a video regarding that question as well. So today I'd like to discuss the difference between civil ceremonies and religious ceremonies, mostly describing the wedding ceremony process, and how that impacts immigration and how immigration views that. So obviously those two things are very different. So a civil ceremony would be basically making that wedding legal in the eyes of the law. So you usually have some type of a designated civil servant who is kind of in that authority signing as someone who has performed that wedding or that ceremony. So that would be legal in the eyes of the law. A religious ceremony is really in the eyes of the deity or whatever deity, God, that you are performing that under, that you culturally are performing that wedding ceremony. So the short of the matter is that usually religious ceremonies are not legally valid for immigration purposes. So, and again, this could be usually for a wedding to be lawful or recognized by immigration, by U.S. immigration, it would have to be lawful or legal in the country or state that it was performed in. And so for most areas, this does not include religious ceremonies or cultural ceremonies unless they have been registered with the civil authority. So you kind of have to do both. Now, and again, there can be the problems that we do see arise. And so we always caution people in regard to having a civil ceremony or a cultural ceremony is this country that you are performing this ceremony or cultural ceremony in. So we have seen issues pop up. And so let me give you a couple of examples. So there are countries in the EU and others, especially smaller countries, where that religious officiant is considered or designated a civil authority. And so at the same time that you are performing a religious ceremony, you're also performing that civil one as well. And so, whether or not this is an issue really is dependent on your circumstances, right? What are you trying to prove? Are you trying to prove that you had a valid marriage? Or are you trying to prove, as in the fiance visa route, that you are free to marry and that was not a valid marriage? So we see those problems come into effect when someone has filed for that fiance visa and then they performed a religious ceremony in home country, mostly to celebrate an engagement per se. And then immigration comes back and says, well, you've had this ceremony, you are no longer free to marry, even if it's that same person that's on that fiance visa. If you're married, that then voids that fiance visa and you have to start over with the spousal petition. So it does add a lot to the evidence and what's required to try to combat or alleviate those concerns that USCIS or immigration has in regards to that. So again, we've seen that those instances happen. Another instance would be, for one example, a Hindi marriage. A lot of times those do not have to be registered to be considered to be valid. And there are other countries as well that fall into that same respect. So if there is any evidence of that religious or cultural ceremony in those countries where it doesn't have to be registered to be legally or lawfully married, again, that could cause issues. So we really like to steer clear of those cultural or religious ceremonies or ceremonies of any sort if you have a fiance visa on file. That way we know that we're safe in the eyes of immigration, and that no one could misconstrue that ceremony that you had or that you consider maybe a celebration of engagement, but then immigration decides that there is cause for them to maybe construe it as the wedding or marriage itself. So that's just kind of the long and the short of the religious versus civil wedding ceremonies, and how that can become concerning to immigration. And again, it really comes down to, are you trying to prove that you are married? Are you trying to prove that you are not married? Very circumstance specific based on your case. So I hope you have found this helpful. If you're watching this on replay, feel free to comment #replay and put your questions in the chat box if you do have any, and we'll try to touch base on those as well. If you know of someone else who might be interested in this video, you can tag their name or share this with them as well. Of course, on our website, www.immigrationforcouples.com, if you click on the resources page, we have lots of different videos about many different topics. And I believe I've done at least one other video relating to ceremonies and immigration. So that would kind of add to that depth of knowledge as well. Well, we hope we have found this helpful. Certainly check back in with us next Thursday at 11 o'clock for our weekly live attorney chat. Thanks again. Have a great day.